this fucked up at the same time, yo. Word.
Get in where you
Hey,
fit
yo,
in.
for real, son. Like, shit ain't what it used to be, cause it ain't something that's supposed to be.
Yo, for real, son. Like,
Alright, man. Welcome to Artist Corner. What's your name and where you from?
Wayne Sosa, Dover, New Jersey.
What do you do?
Fitness influencer.
How many years have you been one?
One strong.
Alright, so give us like a little backstory, man. What made you get into it?
It's funny because following my time when I thought, everything was set in stone, when I thought I had it all, when I thought everything was what it was, when I thought I knew everything, that was when I truly realized I had a lot to learn. Somewhere along the way, I lost who I really was. And as a grown man, as a man, I had to understand that that's part of the journey. And truly understanding that is understanding that you got to take bumps and bruises along the way. Trial and tribulation is ultimately going to be the reason why you succeed in the end. So long, I was working out, cruising is an appropriate word I would use. And that became an issue because you can't cruise through life, otherwise you'll find yourself trailing in life. And so I forgot my why. And through the process of remembering my why, that's when I got into fitness influencing. And, shout out to my man's lifting with the woo. It was when I began that journey a year ago, November, is when I really understood that life is not what it seems. Because I promise you, going into that journey, I thought that everything was going to be given. But unfortunately, I must have forgot through my 25 years of, getting the short end of the stick. Nothing's ever given in life, and everything has to be earned and achieved, especially for, a lot of those that may look different than others. So often in life, I feel like it's unfortunate that people don't have the patience to understand that everything's not going to come in one day. Those that became great, those that became icons, those that became legend, they didn't accumulate, they didn't grasp that success after one day of work, after 1 week of work, after 1 month of work. No, they set the foundation. They had to take 100 laws to gain 1,000,000 wins. And at the end of the day, that's what this is about. And boy, when I tell you, that's exactly what it was when I stepped into this content world. Because I remember when I first started recording, we was on the GoPro. I was struggling to scrape 1,000 videos. I was like, oh man, whew. For once in my life, I really would say, for the words, I can't believe I'm saying it, give up, crept in my head. And this was only after 1 month. Mind you, I tell you, I'm a year deep now, so you can see how, this story is going to continue. It's important to understand that, like I said, you have to take 1,000 losses to gain 1,000,000 wins. And this is a perfect example of that. Because so many times, I remember when I first stepped in, I didn't know how to edit. I didn't necessarily know, how to grasp an audience. I didn't know the time length of video. But that's okay, because I remember I was going to so many different people, asking them for advice, asking them to basically, do the process for me. And along the way, you know, a lot of these higher end influencers that are now great friends of mine, were completely direct, honest with me. Like, you need to figure out what you need to learn along the way. And that's when I really understood that, you know, so many years prior, I was investing my time and, you know, my personal things into other people and other things that weren't necessarily, let's be honest, deserving of that time. And during this process, I had to understand, if I was able to invest all that time, money, resource, energy into things that can't be deserving, the best thing you can do is invest in yourself, because at the end of the day, that's all you have. And if you're willing to invest into things that aren't going to necessarily heed and grasp what you want, then who's to say? It's important to understand that it doesn't matter if you need to spend $100 to be at this time, at this place, at this point. Because guess what? That $100 is ultimately going to be why you make that million in the month to come. And it's unfortunate that it took me so long to realize that, because for a while I thought I hit I would say a peak in, you know, my influence. I'd say my content wasn't really getting pushed anymore. You know, I was a little down, and I had to make some heavy changes. And for a while I was like, you know, I made a, you know, significant change into becoming a fitness influencer, but unfortunately I had to, you know, understand and really grasp that along this journey, you know, too much dead weight is gonna ultimately be the reason why you don't propel to the top. And so along the way, you know, you will learn along your journey that not everybody is made to make it to the top. And so within my trial and error, it was safe to say I had to leave a couple things behind in my past in order for me to see a new future. And boy, was it worth it. Because at the end of the day, when I left those things behind, everything else opened up. And I didn't really understand the niche of these things. But then when I understood the priorities of being certain places, certain times, being precise with time, and I started going to different ventures, I started being able to attend higher end gyms. And then next thing you know, my content started to soar. I saw as I put more effort, as I put more time, as I put more resource and things I needed into my craft, you get what you give. And it's important to understand that, because, you know, through time, you know, as I started to venture out and be broad in my horizon, rather than, you know, stick to a lot of things that are stale, I broadened my horizon. I went a couple places, you know, whether it was Fusion, whether it was Alpha Land, whether it was Iron Revolution. I did the things I needed to do in order to get what I needed to receive. And it's important to understand that along this way, you know, not everything is going to be perfect. And that's okay, because the deeper you get into this journey, it's important to remember the more people you're going to have to leave behind. And through that, it's not anything you did wrong, and it's not anything they did wrong. Sometimes people just grow apart, and that's unfortunate. Because like I said, your goal, your end goal, your destination isn't going to be their destination.
So how is it a day as a fitness trainer? Give us a rundown from when you wake up to when you go to sleep.
I wake up, I do about 200 to 300 push-ups every day, guaranteed. I say my prayers, I do my meditation. Meditation is very important. People got to always understand, everything's not physical. There's a big spiritual and mental aspect about this. It took me a while to fully grasp the concept that how much more mental it was than physical. And people say, how is that? Because you have to physically go through the process. That is true. But if you don't have the mental will to tell yourself, hey, I'm going to run this mile today. Hey, I'm going to lift this weight today. You physically aren't going to be able to go through the process. So it's important to understand that there's a whole piece to this puzzle. And, you know, after I do my meditation, that's when I typically go. I sometimes go to Alpha Fitness in Ledgewood, or, you know, sometimes I go to Planet Fitness in Rockaway. I'll go and I hit my morning session there. I'll come back, rest for a little bit. That's when I wake up. I have my second meal of the day. I have my second meal. Typically, you know, I like eggs. I like cereal. I like a lot of oatmeal with protein shake. I'm gonna keep it clean, man. I'm not, you know, it's not like I'm sitting here on some you know, all luxurious diet here. It's important to understand that, you know, I work very hard for everything you see and obtain. I'm not someone, you know, receiving all these substantial funds from, you know, this source or this source. I'm completely homegrown. So everything you see is organic, all the way down to the words leaving my mouth. So my diet isn't super decorated, but it is disciplined. And that's what it's important to understand, that through this process, you want to maintain discipline. What do I mean discipline? I mean doing something when you don't want to do it, understanding the ultimate goal and understanding the results you're going to get. Even when you don't want to do it at all, you're going to make sure it's done. That's when you understand you take another step in this process. And then after that, you know, I'll rest for a little bit, and then I typically edit some content. I'm always on editing content, you know, making sure I'm working on my craft, making sure I'm tracking my micros, making sure, you know, all my business ventures are set. Then typically, you know, I'll go to work, do what I got to do. Then that after I get out of work, that's when I hit my second session typically. And, you know, that's when the heavy weight is more typically lifted. My first session is more probably body weight, cardio based stuff. Right now I'm in the bulking season, so, you know, I'm only doing 2 workouts a day. You know, come shred season, I'll go back to the pushing 3 a day. But, you know, right now I had to change my algorithm a little bit. That's what's also important, understanding that you got to be disciplined in the process of getting to where you want to be. If you're trying to bulk, then you have to understand that you have to change your regimen. You can't try to bulk and think you're going to be able to go through your same routine as you're doing when you're cutting. Different steps are going to be taken. And that's the problem that a lot of people don't understand, that the tedious things that you think don't matter are the reason why the people that are at the top of the game are at the top, because they pay attention to the little details, the finer things, and that's what's ultimately going to propel them and you to receive the goals that you are working for. And, you know, after my workout, I'll come home, make sure, you know, I feed my cat, spend time with my family. You know, I make sure I do some more prayers, and I eat my next meal of the day. It's gonna typically always be my heaviest meal of the day. I can't stand going to bed with a heavy stomach, especially during bulk season. So I'll make sure I'm pretty high surplus in calories. I'm probably putting down like 4,500 calories right now. The highest I've put down in quite a bit. And I'll be honest, I'm probably gonna be able to do this for like another month before my body shuts off, but it's been pretty good. I'm only getting about 6 to 7 hours of sleep now. I'll be honest, that's my little bit of my downfall, Tay. It's tough. When you are vulnerable, when they see that you have talents that they do not possess, when they see that there's something greater living within you, it's important to understand people will do anything. The devil comes in many shapes. It's important to understand he's not going to come in an ugly form. He's not going to come with his horns out screaming. He's going to come with temptation, with that smile, with that drink you can't say no to, with that real pretty girl that I'm sure you want to take home. Struggle comes in many forms and variations. And I promise you, the struggles that I endured, the struggles that I had to embrace, the struggles that I was forsaken with, will never be struggles that my children will ever have to endure. And I promise you that they are going to be the struggles that ultimately have shaped my story.
All right, so on the flip side, what is your most proudest moments that you've went through?
It's important to also understand that you won't appreciate the sunshine, the warm days so much if you didn't have the dark days, the rainy days. It's a balance in life. That's the beauty of it. And when you don't have balance in your personal life, that's when you'll see imbalances, and that's where things may tend to, not articulate in your best favor. What do I mean by that? It means that yes, I did have many shortcomings. I did have many trials and tribulations. Things did get difficult for me. But ultimately, they made me appreciate so many of my greater days. I'm trying to think, man. There was endless things that I could really think of that I've been really fortunate and blessed to talk about. I would say when I can say when my first I got my first. This is gonna sound crazy. I remember I was pushing for my first 1,000 views on a video, and then I got my first 10K. I thought I was really cool. Oh my God, I got 10,000 views on a video. How is that even possible? And now I'm averaging about 20,000 views a video. So it goes to show that over time consistency really will prevail. Because I remember when I first started doing my oh my God, when I first started pushing my content, I really was on the niche of, quitting because, I wasn't getting any push. But I'd say as I ventured off and I was able to, get invited to some of these super gyms, those were ultimately in some other, higher accomplishments. I had, some of the higher ends, inviting me to their establishments, wanting me their establishments. Thank you to all the gyms that have invited me to record content at their gym. You are all part of the process. I thank you very much through that. Another big milestone I'd say I recently just attained, willingly. I just finally, that's what I mean. Rome isn't built in a day, but under a year, I hit 100,000 followers on Instagram. Something so small, but it was something that, ultimately I was really pushing for. So it's important to understand, everyone moves at their own pace. Someone else's pace isn't going to be your pace. And that's a problem I think people tend to, they lose sight of in life. Often everyone thinks they're supposed to be millionaires. They're supposed to have their life set. Everything's supposed to be figured out by the age of 25 or 28, or they're supposed to have married and kids. No, unfortunately, there's no time frame. There's no rule. There's no regulation. Your time is going to be when your time is ready. It doesn't matter if you're 20, you're 25, you're 30, you're 35, you're 40. So, some of the most successful men, some of the most successful entrepreneurs that have existed in this life didn't find ultimate success till a lot of them say, their 60s or 70s. So that goes to show that you have to wait the course, because, I'm saying I'm proud about, me reaching my milestone, yet there will be another influencer that'll hop on the scene and reach 1 million followers in under a month. And that doesn't mean that I didn't do anything right. It just means, his speed was different than mine. And it's important that you want to put that into your life as well. Just because someone else is moving at a little faster pace than you doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It just means that their course is different than yours.
So how do we support you?
As long as my message delivers, I'd say realistically, as long as you take my message, you heed my message, if you understand, if you take it with a grain of salt, then it's not going to do you much. But if you take it in full, if you fully grasp my words, if you grasp the meanings of what I'm saying, understand that through my trials and tribulations, I was able to break free from the bondage that I was in, to understand that there was more at the end of this journey for me. As long as you take that and understand you can apply that to your life through my teachings and my words and my influence, then that's all the support you've done for me. And at the end of the day, Instagram, I hit those 8. TikTok, I hit those 8. Shout out Street Dreams. We're taking over this world, baby. Just the beginning.
What should we look for in 2024?
This is going to be the year where So often, everybody wants to talk about what they're gonna do to this year, how they're gonna, set the goal for the next year. It's important to understand if you wait for the new year to start that goal, then you already behind. You want to start a month ahead of time. Precision, be precise with time. Like I said, if you arrive on time, exactly on that time, you're late. You got to be early, because guess what? There's 10, 100, a million other people that were there an hour before you. So it's important to understand going into 2024, I'm carrying this momentum from 2023. The takeover already begun. We just going to finish it in 2024.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you for coming.
Shout out Street Dreams.
Easy, man. Yeah, that was good.
Oh my God, appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, my brother.
That shit felt good.
Yo,
right?
that shit was that, my brother. Holy shit.
Needed that, too.
I needed that.